Good afternoon, everybody.
Definitely.
You know, I don't do this a lot, so somebody told me, make sure when you talk slow. You know, you talk real fast. And it's just a blessing to be here and just for you family services. Right. You know what I'm saying? Just for you family services, you know, my partner, Mr. Alfred, Miles, you know. This health and wellness thing. I'm a guy that went to school and wanted to just help other people. So after I graduated high school, I had that dream of saying, you know what? I don't want to go to college. I'm just going to do what I was doing, which was running the street, mischief, committing petty larcenies, nothing really felonious. And my mother's dream was for me to go to school. So her way of activating that dream was she just got up one day and said, pack up, get in the car, you're going to Delhi. She just dropped me off at Delhi. And got with the clique, got with the crew, started running around. Every weekend I was home. You know, I got like a 0.6 GPA, something like that. It wasn't in me to move forward. It's just a little bit of who I am. And you fast forward it a little bit. I wound up getting that associate's degree. Then I got the bachelor's in sociology. Got a bachelor's in sociology and social work. Then I moved on. I got my KSAT certificate as a certified New York State drug counselor. Then when I would go look for jobs, I would notice that if I'm sitting in the waiting room, it was the men and women, and the white guy, the sister with the tight jeans, the white girl with the miniskirt on. And I was never really at the top of the line to get hired. Plus, I know what I'm going to do. More education. I went on, I got a master's in counseling. When I got the master's in counseling, as I was graduating, I started getting letters of the student loan was due. So I don't want to pay the student loan. So I said, what I got to do now is go enroll in a PhD program. I kind of threatened the school, told them I was accepted at St. John. I never go to big universities. If y'all don't accept me in your PhD program, I'm going to go somewhere else. So they told me, write a letter, get recommendations, and do all of that. So as we move on, you know, and I'm embarking in deeper to this doctoral degree, I started to realize that my counseling degree was taking on a direction of its own because I started working for these rehabs. And one of the most disturbing things to bring up the day working at one of these rehabs was the young lady said, well, you're going to get about $30 an hour per client. We got you 10 clients. I said, that's great. So I'm adding up the math and just, you know, I can do that. So after about 6 months of being there, I'm like, well, this guy completed and this guy completed. She called me up and she said, I got a problem with that. I said, what? She said, you should too. I said, why? She said, because every time you complete somebody, that's less money you get to make. So then when I realized this is about money. This is not about helping them. The money's in them staying here and being sick. So I was like, you know, kind of like I'm in it now, so I won't play this game. But slowly, that didn't really pan out to be where it was going. And as we see now with the opiate epidemic, that thing skyrocketed and took off. And that kind of left me in a spot where, as a clinician and as a researcher, what's best for the people? See, when you say you're a doctor or you're an MD or you want to help somebody, you have to ask yourself, do I really want to help this person or do I want money? These are decisions that you have to really make and ask yourself. You know, you want that new car, bills is due, that new girlfriend, or go to Vegas. Now ethics comes into play. Am I going to do what's ethically correct or am I going to do what's morally right? And that just led to a lot of people, man. I watched them get hurt. When I started thinking about the families that are burying these kids and the police arrest every day and 45 billion being spent on this stuff, I'm saying it's got to be a better way. So as a researcher, I'm saying, what can I do? You know, what can I do? Well, I got the degree as a counselor. I have the office. I have the clientele. Oh, but the clientele, they all have insurance. And if you don't have license that can match up to this, then you can't help. So I could be the greatest clinician in the world, but if my license doesn't match up for the powers to be to bill, then you just a clinician that can go work somewhere. With all that being said, I was introduced to some information on Minister EnQi. I'd already previously been introduced to some information about Dr. Seven. So when me and the brother had the opportunity to talk, I said, well, how do you compare yourself with Dr. Seven? He said, really didn't like to do that, but he said, check me out. You know, I'm a researcher. So I just geek out on that. Go home and just look up stuff. But research is not a Google search. You know, a Google search is a Google search. And research is research. And I went into real depth to research this young man to see if he knew what he was talking about. And I can say this unequivocally. I have a bachelor, a master's, associate's, and a doctorate. And all the instruction that I've had couldn't compare to the information that his brother shared with me for the last few months. Right. And sometimes we wait for these are paramount moments in our lives. And we'll say, wow, well, he could have came. So since I'm into helping people, me and my partner's there just for you, and he's into helping people, I decided to link up so we could do some business. Without any further ado, this was an intro. But Minister EnQi to start off this part of the conversation.
One of the key things a lot of people always ask me about is mental health. Everywhere I speak, they say, why don't you spend more time on mental health? We got an epidemic. Suicides are up for black men maybe 240% over the last 20 years, right? And I'm looking at the science of statistics, and I'm like, after 100%, where we going, right? Suicide's up like 200-something%. Self-medication, what we call it, recreational drugs, et cetera, is really, if you understand the body's biochemistry, which I hope to try to give you a little bit of insight on today, you will see that it's really a form of self-medication. And so what I tell people all the time is, every time I speak about diet, it's a conversation about mental health. It's just people don't understand how the body works. 90% of your neurochemistry comes from your what you eat. 90%. So if you don't eat everything that you're supposed to get, it's impossible for you to have a balanced brain. Impossible. A lot of times people ask me, about help with the children and ADD, ADHD. I said, well, you got to understand what's going on. If there's high levels of blood sugar floating around, high levels of blood sugar inhibits the body's ability to metabolize tyrosine. Tyrosine is the precursor to dopamine, neuromelanin, et cetera, so your neuromelanin is not being processed properly, dopamine is not being processed properly, it's impossible for the child to perform. So it's not the child's problem, they don't need drugs, they just need you to stop with the frosty flakes in the morning. Super simple. They don't need to get woke, you need to get woke because you gave them the frosty flakes. Inflammation. High levels of inflammation inhibits the ability for the body to process tyrosine, because that goes along with high levels of blood sugar. Where do they get their inflammation from? Cow's milk. The child is not a cow. They drink cow's milk, that's going to produce inflammation. That's why mucus comes up immediately as soon as you drink cow's milk. So it's impossible for their brain to be fully functional with these type of things going on. But if we don't, so they get money off you on both ends. They getting you in the supermarket. They getting you at GNC in the vitamin shop, because most of the things that you buy in those places don't work for your body. I was telling people that for 10 years. Now people are getting it because Harvard did a study and said, oh, well, synthetic vitamin A is actually producing cancer and whoop. And synthetic forms of vitamin E is producing prostate cancer in men and blah, blah, blah. And this is a smartphone age. So none of this you have to take on face value. You can pull out your phone and pull it up. Vitamin A causes cancer. You'll see the reports yourself. So it's not natural vitamin A that you would get from vegetables or fruits. It's the synthetic laboratory foam. If we don't know any better, we don't do better. So we gotta have to, we have to start having these conversations. So, points. Dopamine. This is the star of the show when it comes to all forms of addiction. So this doesn't have to be something specific, but all forms of addiction. So if somebody's popping Molly, dopamine release. Cigarettes, dopamine release. Somebody's addicted to pornography, dopamine release. They just recently released the clinical studies and whoop-de-whoop showing that social media, when people get likes, when they get views, it's releasing the same type of dopamine. So what people don't understand is dopamine was designed to direct your behavior so that when you did things that were positive for your body, you were rewarded to repeat those things. When you did things that didn't work for your body, unhealthy, so to speak, for you, yourself, your family, your environment, you gotta don't do that again, Simon. We've kind of distorted it, and all of these things target this. So when you see somebody texting on their phone, or they got their phone like this, and they're getting ready to step off the curb right in front of your car, understand that you have to put on the brakes because they're locked in and they cannot stop themselves. They can't stop themselves. It is a serious form of addiction that, So one of the things that I find highly successful with dealing with addiction is replacing habit. I used to be a chain smoker. I used to smoke 2 cigarettes back to back. If it was GPC, 3 cigarettes. For me, I had to replace the habit with the gym and the bookstore. That's the only way I could. But you have to replace that hole in your life, because I noticed that a lot of times it's not just the chemical part of the habit, but it's the time and the routine. So, when you're using the bathroom, after sex, after a meal, like certain times you become accustomed to performing these habits. So even the habit becomes addictive after a while. And again, this is diet-based. Everybody who is deficient in 3 particular amino acids, has a much higher propensity towards drug addiction, addictions in general, as well as depression, which is driving the suicide rate and driving the self-medication. All right? And we'll get to those 3 amino acids in just a second. All right? Tyrosine. Tyrosine is one of them. All right? This guy right here. All right, I might take you up on it. Okay. This guy right here, one of the 3 aromatic amino acids, and when you have the meat eater versus the vegan or vegetarian conversation, that pops up all the time. It's what's bad about the meat? Okay, we'll do this like this with the meat. There's no such thing as a natural burnt body eater. Correct. There's no natural thing on earth that consumes burned flesh. It's never, ever, ever. So when the conversation is had about carnivores versus plant eaters, that's the conversation. That conversation is the wrong conversation, because most people, especially black folks, you're not a carnivore because you don't eat raw meat. See, carnivores eat raw meat. A lion doesn't deep fry deer ass. He doesn't flour it, season it, none of that. He doesn't need MSG, adobo on it, none of that. He bites right down into the deer and guts the deer first because the lion knows that he's not privileged. And what I mean is privileged by nature. Carnivores are on the short end of the stick. Nutrients comes from the earth and the environment. That's what you're doing. You're recycling the environment through you. So when you look at the 4 basic elements of diet, meat. The meat was so that you got your daily amino acids in, which is what we're talking about here, tyrosine, right? Your daily amino acids. The fruit was so that you got a healthy serving of vitamins. The vegetables is so that you got a healthy serving of minerals, and the grains was so that you got the essential fatty acids in. Now we have science, so we know what the active components in these things are that we needed. But there's no such thing as a natural animal or living thing that eats burned flesh. That doesn't exist in nature, ever at all. That never existed. So when people are having the carnivore versus vegan conversation, there's not even a word to describe what you are, besides insane. There's not even a word for that, because that's not a carnivore. Carnivores do not eat burned flesh. Period. You'll never see that happen. It's not natural in nature, and it produces the 2 most deadliest carcinogens known to man. Heterocyclic amines and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Mouthful, 2 phrases. So when you eat, they already did the study. When you eat burned flesh versus somebody who does not eat burned flesh, you have a 480% chance of getting cancer. So basically what that's saying, to translate that into real terms, is that the only way you can eat burned flesh throughout your life and not get cancer is if something else kills you first.
Wow.
Period. It's not natural. Doesn't exist. The nutrients for a carnivore, carnivores are not, they don't have the ability, they don't have the enzymes for them to get the nutrients directly from nature. So they have to eat animals that can process the nutrition. That's why they go for the stomach first. That's where the minerals, the vitamins, and that's what they're looking for. They're still looking for the same thing. They're not eating meat for meat's sake. They haven't been trained on this. These animals that we look at as carnivores were probably looking at us thinking we're stupid. They have to hunt down, chase down some shit to catch it and eat it. We can just go in the supermarket and pick up what we want to pick up. They're like, wait a minute, we could do that and we could digest that. We wouldn't have to do this. It would defeat the purpose. So that's the other key part. Understanding that there's a purpose to eating besides getting full. Getting full is some crazy shit that we made up. It's a poverty thing. Because we feel guilty if we don't get full, like something's wrong with us. If our children's not full, we feel something's wrong with us. We're not feeding our children. We created sayings that goes along and it shows you the consciousness behind how we live. Somebody gaining weight, you're like, oh man, you eat good, man. You must be making money yet. You must be making money, boy. You're getting big, right? And we ain't seen somebody in a while, they losing weight. We think they're getting sick. We don't think that they're getting healthy. They adopted a new diet. They got a new program. No, something wrong with them. We want to invite them back to our dead animals. Hey, no, babe at the house right now. She got the ribs on. Don't even worry about it. You got to tell me what happened, Carl. I got you. Come stay by the house for a little while. We'll get you right. No, we'll get you sick. We'll get you sick. So take those terms down, look them up. Heterocyclic amines, Polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Mouthful. I want you to get those. So, anyway. You said tell you how to spell them? I got you. Heter. Heterocyclic. Heterocyclic amines. AMINES. And then polycyclic. POLYCYCLIC. Aromatic. AROMATIC. Hydrocarbons. So you can look those terms up. Two of the most deadly carcinogens known to man, produced from burnt flesh.
Now, quick, is that burnt flesh or cooked flesh?
Well done. So once the blood is gone, you produce them chemicals. And the more it's cooked, the more the heat is added to it. So July 4th, wow. Listen, doctors and coroners, this is a business. Especially coroners, dead bodies, because they sell the parts. So they already know business getting ready to peak around certain times of the year. So they look forward to your business. Look forward to your business.
I thought that cooking the meat gets to, like, kills the parasites and bacteria.
Right? Certain things we're not supposed to eat. So this is why I have a book coming out in December. It's called Eat Right for Your Haplotype. And that's because everybody's not the same. We all have a different biochemistry, different enzyme sets based on where we're from. So the whole idea of meat came from a place where there was nothing else to eat. So now the people that's from colder climates, polar climates, they have an enzyme set developed over years to process some of those things. People from equatorial regions, we don't even have an enzyme set for that. That's why you have 95% of African Americans or Africans in general that are lactose intolerant.
Okay.
Where 5% of Europeans may experience that. And the 95 and the 5 is just because of the mixing between the two. But that lets you know, because milk is a liquid form of the tissues of a mammal. So if you can't digest the milk, you can't really digest the meat. People that don't know any better, they can be told that it's the milk sugar that you're lactose intolerant. It's the lactose, it's the milk sugar. See, because people don't know any better. But if you know that milk sugar, lactose, is galactose and glucose, then you say to yourself, well, if I'm lactose intolerant, how come I don't get sick and bubbly guts and all that when I have a watermelon or some plums, prunes, or anything else that contains galactose and glucose? So it obviously has nothing to do with the sugar. It has to do with the foreign proteins that your body can't handle.
Right.
So, anyway, why would you chase down and catch an animal if you are from a place where the food is falling on top of you? You tripping over shit to eat. Why would you chase down an animal and kill it? And like, it just doesn't even make sense. Like, it just think about how people behave naturally. People want to do the easiest thing. We gravitate to whatever's the least amount of work with the most benefit. So there'd be no reason to set a trap and catch an animal that's almost as dangerous as me, that might be trying to fight back and all that. Like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
Food, like, even if you go to Florida, you ain't even got to leave the country. Food falls on the floor. Coconuts on the floor, lemons, mangoes, avocados, you name it. People is cutting the agave bushes, like, it's everywhere. And that's here in the States still. So you wouldn't come from that type of climate and chase down something and kill it to eat it. And then when you eating it, you got to go through a process of learning. It's a learning curve that goes through there. So you have to eat it long enough for people that eat it to start to die rot and get sick to figure out there's something in it that you have to cook out of it to eat it without getting like, who the hell doing all that? You doing the most. See nobody doing all that.
Yeah.
Once the first group of people would have got sick, we would have just started eating things that we didn't have to, like, that's killing people. A group of scientists got together, and I'm glad you have this conversation. A group of scientists got together and they proved that these illnesses that we experience at the highest rate, diabetes, high blood pressure, every single part of cancer except skin cancer, is not genetic. Because there's nowhere outside of America that experiences things at the same rate that we do. Even larger than that, they didn't exist before 1900. So you don't have a mass amount of people anywhere on Earth with type 2 diabetes before the year 1900. You don't have a mass of people anywhere experiencing cancer before 1940, 1950, when they started putting supermarkets everywhere. You don't have it anywhere. Like, it doesn't even exist. So it's impossible to be a thing that's genetic because it just started. That's 2-3 generations ago. Women come to me all the time with the breast cancer issue. Minister EnQi, I'm scared. They told me I got the BRCA1 or BRCA2 gene. I said, okay, that doesn't really mean much. Did they also tell you that only 25% of the women that have breast cancer have the BRCA1 or BRCA2 gene? So if it was genetic, why is the larger portion of women with breast cancer, they don't have the BRCA1 or BRCA2 gene? They just got it from where? And we got to get answers to this question, because guess what? That 75% of women, they have children, or they will have children, and guess what? They'll be telling those children, oh, you know what? You have a BRCA1 or BRCA2 gene, you might have breast cancer.
So is it like epigenetics, I guess?
Absolutely.
What it sounds like?
Absolutely, but we have to understand what epigenetics is. Epigenetics is simply diet, lifestyle, and how we interface with our environment. So the reason why we have to eat the plants, right, now that we know why we shouldn't eat the meat, the reason why we have to eat the plants is we don't have the ability to make aromatic amino acids in our body. And the aromatic amino acids are tyrosine, phenylalanine, and tryptophan. Those are the guys that are responsible for almost all of the functionality in your brain. Period. All. Now, tyrosine, depending on whose information you look at, who's doing the research, etc., they'll tell you that it's a semi-essential because your body can synthesize it if you're getting enough phenylalanine in. But if you're not getting phenylalanine in, then your body can't produce tyrosine. So you might as well just look at tyrosine as an essential amino acid all on its own. The other guy is tryptophan. So tryptophan turns into, make a long story short, tryptophan turns into serotonin. Serotonin is the antidepressant neurochemical in the brain. Tyrosine turns into, now this is the melanin chemical pathway. This is important. That's why I just stopped it here so we can talk and you can kind of absorb this in the background as we're talking. But tyrosine not only is the precursor to melanin, which forms the pigment centers in your brain where all of the major centers of articulation, motor skills, everything that we know of as your brain runs through these pigmented centers in the brain, including Alzheimer's and dementia is linked to the substantia nigra, which is the center of the brain when it loses pigment. So we might get into a little bit of why it loses pigment, but the key now to know is tyrosine, right? Tyrosine is also the precursor to dopamine. So if we don't have enough tyrosine in the diet, how can we produce dopamine? This is super simple. If we get this concept, y'all gonna be the masters of health tomorrow. If we don't have tyrosine in the diet, how can we produce dopamine?
What do we eat to produce the tyrosine?
It's a couple different things. You can get some peanuts. You can get some. I say you got supplement because a lot of the foods are now nutrition because of the practices with the soil.
Peanuts, what else?
But if you say supplements and after supplements are synthetic, we're
We're going to get them from the herbs. So we're going to supplement with natural supplements, plant-based supplements, the herbs. That's where you're going to go with that.
Besides peanuts, where else can tyrosine come from?
You can get tyrosine from, well, a lot of people are hearing the term resveratrol,
Yes.
right? So resveratrol, the reason why resveratrol is so powerful, a lot of people don't know, is because it's a plant analog of
Yes.
tyrosine.
Is it?
It's identical and it functions the same way as tyrosine does. So resveratrol can replenish, and you get that from
Red
grapes,
Red wine.
wine.
not red wine. It's in red wine, but that's not. You don't want to do that. Because red wine feeds your fungus, and fungus creates a larger problem. So anytime you see, and you can go online and look it up. Anytime they remove a tumor, a fibroid, a cancer growth, a cyst anywhere, it's white. The reason why it's white is because it's filled with Candida albicans. And most people hear about Candida in terms of it being yeast.
Yes.
But there's two things about Candida which makes it deadly. A, it has the ability to mutate into a fungus. And B, it's the only yeast that lives on your mucous membrane, which is the inner line of your skin. So that's what makes inflammation so deadly, is because you have a protective layer that coats the mucous membrane all throughout the inside of your body. It's called the glycocalyx. When you have high levels of inflammation, it erodes the glycocalyx, and now the yeast are able to attack the mucous membrane and grow into fungus, and then you got bigger issues.
Wait, so when we hear a glass of red wine is good for you,
Good for the heart, they say.
good for the heart.
That's a lot of folks in business. A lot of folks in business. And trust me, I used to be a Merlot man. So,
And you don't do it anymore.
I don't drink at all anymore. I haven't drank in probably 10 years. But I still have the taste. That's the thing about addictions and vices. You have to know that you're never complete, like your mind will never lose the memory of a good thing. So you have to get comfortable with living without it. So that's why information is the best way to beat old habits, because you really have to understand why you're not doing it. You can't not do something because the family is tired of you doing it. And I'm tired of you doing all this bullshit. Yeah, but I'm not. I kind of like it. You're going to keep doing it. Get in trouble doing it, get locked up doing it, you get sick doing it. You're going to keep doing it until you understand intimately why it's more profitable in a variety of ways for you not to do it. You have to thoroughly understand what it is that you're doing and how it affects your body, and then maybe, depending on your personal big picture, you might want to change it up. But yeah, alcohol is super dangerous. Alcohol, 95% of violent arrests is accompanied by alcohol. 95%. You know what I'm saying? So it's money to drive the situation. So, but we have to get these aromatic amino acids to get back to we got to get these aromatic amino acids from plants. We have to eat the plants. That's the only way you can get them, period. And real plants. Okay, so I know we got a lot of people transition dieting. They eating a lot of Boca burgers and Gardein chicken and, you know, that medium. I'm not eating meat anymore, but I'm technically not eating real vegetables yet either. It's cool though. It's cool to transition through there. You know, the fake sausages in the morning. It's all in my freezer right now. But you have to make sure that daily you're actually eating some real plants too, so that you're actually getting the nutrition. So the aromatic amino acids is the biggest key, and then also the plants convert the sun's energy into crystals that we call sugar, right? So, and the sugar's not that bad either. Sugar, you need sugar. Yeah, you need sugar. Don't let people run you away from sugar. Sugar's not the problem. The problem is people are lazy. and they're doing more rewarding than they're doing working. See, this is a reward pathway in the brain. So addiction is about the reward pathway being abused. You don't get rewarded, like you don't get a check before you do the work at work. You got to work for a few weeks. When you get a new job, you got to work for damn near a month before you get a check, right? What we're doing is rewarding ourselves left and right before we do anything. My children, I teach them that concept already. We wake up, we eat a little something, 10, 11 o'clock, they like, Daddy, I'm hungry. I'm like, why? Why are you hungry? I don't know, Dad, I'm hungry. Okay, well, figure it out. I'm not giving you nothing to eat, though. We just ate, and you didn't do anything but go back and lay down and watch TV. How could you be hungry? You haven't done anything. That's what you have to understand in your mind. You take in calories to replace the calories you just had. You just burned off. But if you didn't burn any calories off, what are you eating again for? Why are you eating? You have to ask yourself that. Why am I eating right now? That's the biggest lesson. I get people, the weight flies off people when I have them in my program. It flies off. The largest problem is putting it back on. They be like, yo, I'm trying to stay right here though. I don't want to keep, because the idea is you got to learn what the body's asking you for. The body's asking you for minerals, vitamins, amino acids, and essential fatty acids, period. So 99% of the people that are overweight are starving to death on the inside. Let me give you an analogy.
Say those 4 things one more time.
Minerals, vitamins, amino acids,
And essential fatty acids.
and essential.
Essential fatty acids are what the membranes of all your cells are made of. It's what 80% of your brain is made out of. It's what your body produces cholesterol from. And cholesterol is a good thing. That's where your testosterone comes from and all that kind of stuff.
Just out of curiosity, how many people knew that cholesterol is produced in the body?
Right.
Why?
Yeah, right.
What you say?
I said, how many people knew cholesterol is actually produced in the body already?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, we want to go
HDL.
Right.
You said what, Kyle? You got what?
You got HDL and I forgot the other.
Right. Well, the HDL, the LDL, the VLDL, like those are only categories, only one type of cholesterol. Those are categories of the fat molecule that carries the cholesterol throughout the body.
We always thought you eat butter and stuff like that, you get cholesterol externally.
So that's the whole issue with that. And cholesterol is crucial for your body's health. If you don't have enough cholesterol, see the problem is we're eating grease in the pan. We're eating rancid oils. We're eating rancid fats. That's the big problem. People don't know they waste a lot of money when they don't have this basic information. You know what I'm saying? So at some point, I may not even get through the slides. Y'all just will stop and take more questions. But the conversation is important to have so people get the information they want to have.
So you say when you're cooking with that vegetable oil, that's not
Good. No, that's never been healthy.
What about olive oil?
Now that's where it gets confusing, because every single oil has a smoke point.
Yeah.
And most people don't know that. So we waste money because we read online, like we Googling stuff. We might Google olive oil. And we see, top 20 benefits of olive oil. And then you see people come on Dr. Oz and shit like that. And you're like, yeah, olive oil is amazing for bright skin and woo, 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 woo. Guess what they're doing? It's just back to the meat eating conversation. They're eating the olive oil raw. They're just drinking straight olive oil. So if you're drinking straight olive oil, all those benefits you'll get from that olive oil. Wow. The moment you put that olive oil in your pan and turn the fire on and let that sucker stay there for about 30 seconds, that olive oil becomes rancid and there's none of those benefits there.
What about grapeseed oil?
Wow. Same thing applies to grapeseed oil, coconut oil is oil, it doesn't matter which one. They all have different smoke points. I think avocado oil has a higher smoke point than some of the others. So there's temperatures you can use avocado oil at, I think. But something like that. But outside of the heat taking the oil to the smoke point, you also have a problem with the oils being oxygenated. And even oxygenated oil destroys the inner lining of the body. So I cook my stuff with water.
Do you have special pots too?
Not special pots. I use iron. The black iron.
Cast iron.
Grand opening, grand closing. See, what they do is this is how they institutionalize health. They price people out of the game. People without education that don't understand there's a reason to do something, just look for the easiest way to get it done. So, if I'm looking to get a frying pan so I can fry stuff, then I'll be looking, and I see there's one frying pan right here for $60. Then there's another frying pan right there for $11.99. It's like, let me get that no-stick frying pan for $11.99. I don't know that the no-stick stuff is a carcinogen. And that the cast iron pan actually has, benefits to it and keeps the flavor and all kinds of other great stuff. And it's going to last forever. So over a lifetime, I might buy one cast iron pan and I can pass that on to my children. They're going to be using my pan like I still have pans from aunts, grandparents. This person passed away to get that pot. Dr. Kiefer passed away in Detroit. She was a healer. I got one of her bacon bowls. And all that energy right there. But it lasts. So you actually spend more money in the long term. If you want to use the oils, the best way to use the oils is raw. Right? So y'all could, I don't know, find some tea. So anyway, we have to eat the plants to get the tyrosine, the phenylalanine, and tryptophan is the other guy. So you got to get the tryptophan as well. Tryptophan is metabolized in serotonin. One of the other important things, a lot of people know serotonin is an antidepressant, etc., etc. So most people that are depressed, that are dealing with depression issues, are not only deficient in tryptophan, but also the mineral lithium. See, most people that have heard of lithium, it's a prescription drug. Lithium is not a drug. Lithium is a natural mineral that's supposed to be a part of your diet, like calcium, magnesium. You're supposed to have lithium in your diet. If you don't have lithium, you don't have tryptophan, you'll be depressed. It's just how your body works. If you don't have the stuff in there that do a thing, then it's not going to happen. It's just super simple. You have to put the stuff in there, and then it'll work. While I'm at it, while it's fresh on my mind, I might as well tackle it. There's two aspects to diabetes. All right? Tackle the two aspects. Type 2 diabetes vanishes.
Talk about it.
It's super simple to understand. It's not super simple to accomplish because you're dealing with somebody's willpower and being able to go against everything they've learned all their life. But there's two aspects to diabetes, which is the problem. So you got to get this concept. If you don't have the stuff in your body, then it cannot work. Right? There's over 100 nutrients that you need every day for every part of your body to function the right way. Over 100. 77 minerals. Almost 20 different vitamins. And that list now has gotten so big that scientists have stopped creating vitamins and they now have a new category called phytonutrients. But phytonutrients are vitamins. They're finding them so fast they run out of names. So you got almost 20 vitamins, 77 minerals, you're over 100 already. That's not including the 4 essential fatty acids and your amino acids, right? You have to have those daily for every aspect of your body to function the right way it's supposed to function. If the nutrients are not there, I know I'm saying this over and over again, but I want you to leave with, if nothing else, I want you to have this. Because this is at the root of almost every single metabolic illness. A metabolic illness is something that you were not born with. something you picked up along the way. We have to learn how to give that shit back. Pick that up, take that back. You go to the store, you buy something that's the wrong size, you take that back. This doesn't fit. I don't like this. It's hurting my foot. Okay? Every single metabolic illness functions that way. All right? Now, you can look this up on your own. You have what's called the glucose tolerance factor. Glucose tolerance factor. Glucose tolerance factor is created by chromium, which is another mineral that you're supposed to have every single day. Vanadium. Where's Tony? She's in it. Chromium, vanadium, selenium, the antioxidant, glutathione, and vitamin B3, B6, and B12. All right, so you can just B vitamin complex. Make it, right? B vitamin complex, chromium is the star of the show. So, glucose tolerance factor is what allows your body to tolerate glucose. So, if you don't have the raw nutrients to build up the glucose tolerance factor, guess what's going to happen? Your body's not going to be able to tolerate glucose. What are the number 1 and number 2 signs of chromium and vanadium deficiency? Excessive thirst and excessive urination. What are the number 1 and number 2 signs of diabetics? Type 2, excessive thirst and excessive urination. It's super easy.
So all of those minerals in the mama atomics?
Yes. Yes. I even have something else that I didn't bring today with me that's focuses on those. So Mama Atomics is more about getting you all of the minerals in balance to maintain where you're supposed to be on a regular basis. But I have the carbon hydrate, is what it's called, that's focused on getting mega doses of the chromium and vanadium in with the rest of the minerals as well. Because when you're deficient in something, you can't take the recommended daily dosage and think you're going to get back right. You got to take mega doses to get you back where you're supposed to be. And usually it takes 4 months to saturate yourself with anything. So that's another thing, you have to have a time frame. Because we'll try something.
Don't say what we don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, right. That's well, he out to do. But it's a mineral compound I have that has all of the minerals in there, the aromatic amino acids, as well as a bunch of the enzymes that your body needs to use those things.
Is there anything similar like that on one?
No, it doesn't exist.
Would you recommend for diabetic?
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Would you recommend it for the person who's not diabetic yet, but is
I mean, I would recommend it for everybody because you have to have these minerals. You cannot function without them. Period. Everybody. You're on a timetable. And this is why people lose their eyesight, because there's only 2 strong storehouses in the body for chromium. And the way your body works is everything in your body is prioritized. So when you don't have what your body needs coming in on a regular basis on the diet, your body will leach it from the part of the body that has it in bulk.
The bones.
And chromium, no, not in the bones. Chromium is stored in the eyes.
only?
Outside of the pancreas. And your liver stores up everything, but that's a rich source, is in the eye, chromium. Because of sight requires chromium. So anytime you're not getting it into your diet, which is diabetics, slowly but surely, they're going to pull the body's going to pull the chromium out of the eyes, and it's over. So if you put that back, the eyesight comes back. It seems like magic, but it comes right back. Well, here's the thing with the 4 months. You know how the body works. We have our expectancy is off. So it takes about 100, 120 days for you to create brand new blood cells. For your whole body's supply of red blood. You're creating red blood cells every second of the day. But in order to refresh all of the ones in your body, it takes about 4 months on average, give or take. So if you start a new diet today, technically your red blood cells are not based on what you're eating until 4 months later. So if you've been eating beef forever, let's just use beef for example. You stop eating beef today. 2 weeks later, the majority of your red blood cells was produced while you were eating beef. So it takes a while for your body to be saturated, and then the red blood cells obviously are going to regenerate the rest of the tissues, etc., etc. So it takes a while for you to saturate the body in whatever you start to do. But if you don't start, you never finish. So the other part to type 2 diabetes is simple metabolism. All right. And the analogy I use to understand that is bread and water. Right? Bread and water. So bread is going to be our sugar, our blood sugar, and the water is going to be our insulin in this example. So if I ask brother with the wave spinner, I gotta single you out. Right? If I ask you to drink a gallon of water and eat a whole loaf of bread in less than 30 seconds, would that be possible? Right. You probably wouldn't be able to pour the first cup in 30 seconds. But if I asked you and him to do that gallon and loaf of bread, same gallon, same loaf of bread in 30 seconds, would it still be possible? No. If I said that side of the room, eat that loaf of bread and drink a gallon of water in less than 30 seconds, it may not happen, but it's a lot more possible, right? Yeah. And if I say this whole room, if we could do it together, then it's a lot easier, right? So the people in that example are mitochondria. Mitochondria are the little guys inside your cells that are actually the targets of your diet. These are the guys that are metabolizing the sugar. As you exercise, you build more mitochondria. So the process of building muscle is actually building more mitochondria. The more mitochondria, the more dense your mitochondria packing is in every cell, the easier it'll be for your body to tolerate sugar. That's the target of the sugar. So the two aspects you got to deal with is getting in your chromium, your vanadium, keeping your glutathione level up, and then going back to the liquor. Glutathione is the body's #1 antioxidant. Anytime you drink alcohol, you deplete the body of all your glutathione. The glutathione is stored up in the liver. So that's another reason why we don't want to do it. But if you do, we got to know what's happening so we know how to replace those things. Right? How to get the glutathione back in. Well, one of the reasons why one of the reasons why the saying is an apple a day keeps the doctor away and apples are good for the liver is apples is a natural source of glutathione. So it puts back the glutathione. So those are the two things you got to deal with. This is why people that put people on exercise regimens, a lot of times, even without knowing the nutritional part about the minerals and the antioxidants, they can still, in many cases, reverse type 2 diabetes if the person is diligent about their workout routine because they build so much mitochondria that they can. It's like athletes. A lot of basketball players is looking terrible right now. Look at Dominique Wilkins. Dominique Wilkins is now the poster boy for diabetes. That's what he does. Travels and teaches people that they can live with type 2 diabetes. I kid you not. Because a lot of athletes, they have these horrible dietary practices. But their workout routine is through the roof. So because they have so much muscle and mitochondria within that muscle, burning up the sugar, they never have a problem until they retire.
Right.
And they keep the diet, but they get rid of the workout routine. So as you're losing muscle tone, what that's telling you in terms of your biochemistry is that you're losing mitochondria. So now you don't have the ability to process that much blood sugar, but you don't know any of this, so you still eat the same type of way. You get jammed up.
Are there any benefits to black seed oil and Swedish bitters?
The bitters are good. It's my VIP room. The bitters are good for parasites, bacteria, yeast, fungus, that kind of stuff. Black seed oil is good for the essential fatty acids. It has all four, depending on. Because originally there was only 2 essential fatty acids, omega-3s and omega-6s. Then as science improved a little bit, they found out there's 2 different types of omega-3. You got EPA and DHA. DHA is the more important of the 2 because DHA is what allows your eyes to process light, and you get from that light, you get the nutrients to the brain centers, the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, growth hormone, all that kind of stuff. No DHA, none of that's happening.
That's also from omega-3.
That's omega-3. You have 2 types of omega-3, EPA and DHA. DHA is the star of the show in terms of light, brain centers, etc., etc. Now, omega-6 is where the cannabinoid or endocannabinoid conversation comes in. So a lot of people don't really understand that conversation. They hear endocannabinoid and think of marijuana. Endocannabinoid is not marijuana. Cannabinoid is marijuana. Endocannabinoid means something that your body produces on the inside. That's what the prefix endo means. Your body's producing it internally. So endocannabinoid are cannabinoids that your body produces internally. Your body does that from omega-6. So you don't have to get caught with a package somewhere trying to get you some endocannabinoids. Your body produces that from omega-6. You get that from your essential fatty acids and et cetera, et cetera.
So does that make you happy? Since
Well, no. It quells inflammation. The THC part is the happy part. Right, but
Is there a
the
natural
medicinal benefits are about controlling your inflammatory centers in the body.
what is the natural way of getting that?
Omega-6?
Yeah.
Grains. Hemp is an awesome one. Hemp is probably the best one. You get hemp powder. Always got to think what state I'm in before I go too deep into hemp and endocannabinoids. Right? Michigan is legal, so I can have the super free conversation. This is New York. These niggas going to jail. But hemp powder is legal everywhere. You know what I'm saying? But growing it is something totally different. You can get hemp powder at like Walmart or wherever. Organic is best because without the pesticides, you have a higher chance of more minerals in it. But yeah, hemp is good. But with the black seed, it not only has the omega-3 to omega-6, but now they're adding omega-7 and omega-9 to the essential fatty acids. So, but it has all of those in it. So this is why, as science gets more advanced, we can look back and see what our ancestors understood from a different vantage point. So when they found the black seed, it was in Tutankhamun's tomb, and it was labeled as the cure for all illnesses. So now if you trace the majority of illnesses back, the majority of them start as inflammation. So being able to reduce and quell inflammation does reduce the chance of most of today's progressive illnesses. Autoimmune diseases start as inflammation. Most cancers start as inflammation.
So how often does the red blood cell reproduce itself?
The red blood cells are reproducing themselves every second of the day, but it takes 4 months
For your whole body.
Right.
for your whole body to
If somebody
be full of brand new.
today, or they don't eat meat today, it's going to still produce meat.
Well, not produce meat, but you have those residues floating all throughout your body because you are what you eat.
Right. How do you get those residues?
So after 4 or 5 months,
Right.
you all plant-based. You all plant-based. This is some of the understanding. I have a class, an online class called the God Complex. So we kind of cut to the chase and teach the more important stuff that you need to know about your biochemistry. This right here is one of the more important things. So if you got your cell phone, you might want to take a picture of this, whatever the case may be. But this is mineral relationships. Mineral relationships. Now, what these are, I know I seen everybody get them. These are mineral relationships, and it actually helped me save one of the sisters I was working with cancer. A lot of people that heard the radio show I did a couple weeks back, the brother actually played the snippet of her testimony of how we reversed her cancer. And we got her, we were probably 3 months in to our grind, and she was doing good. She had her eyesight coming back, everything. And they told her to come down to the doctor to do a,
Radiation.
not the radiation, this type of check that they use. They put this dye in you.
They put it back in her.
Right, to see what's going on. And soon as she got that in, she got the pains, but like she couldn't even move. Her body was almost paralyzed. And so I looked it up and seen what they put in it. It was almost 100% barium. I called the son up, Jimmy. I said, Jimmy, listen, you already in Miami, sucker. Go find some coconuts. Chop them coconuts, give her the coconuts, keep flushing up with the coconuts. Give her like a fourth of a bottle of Mama Tonics with the raw coconut water and the meat and everything. Mix that up. That day, she stayed on the toilet the whole night. The next day, she woke up. She was back to normal. Just because I knew that potassium flushes barium out the body.
Could avocado had done. Bananas. Okay.
Yeah, but because he was there with all the coconuts, I just told him to get that. Plus, the coconut is good because of how it is. You can't really smoothie bananas and avocados without putting other stuff in it. But the coconut is self-sufficient. Chop that sucker up, put the flesh in there and the water, blend it, you in business.
I wanted to add on to what he was saying.
Yeah.
The reason why when you're trying to do a diet and you're trying to wean yourself off of certain meats, the reason why you probably get upset most likely is because the parasites,
Yes.
they control your thoughts and your feelings. So you're craving for the food you think is you, and it's the parasites in the food that's giving you the craving.
That's correct. Parasites attach to your nervous system. And so they send you impulses. Wow. To eat the things that they need for their nourishment. Wow.
How do you get rid of parasites?
The bitters and the herbs and the certain herbs that's really good. Right, the detox. So let me get to the detox. Now,
can I ask you a quick question?
Go ahead.
There was an and you may be familiar with the autopsy that was performed on like a recently deceased meat-eating individual, and what percentage of it was
Still undigested?
and
Like 50, 60 pounds?
it wasn't his fecal matter, it was the maggot's fecal matter.
Oh, no. Well, that's everybody. Every time you have a bowel movement, on average, a third of that belongs to the parasites that live in you.
If you don't know.
Yeah. Right. But that's most of the people.
Right.
Now,
So can I ask you a question?
go ahead.
Where you learn all this?
Honestly, I couldn't do. I had two hobbies when I was little. We used to fight a lot in my neighborhood, and I used to read books. And at the time, it wasn't even cool to read books, so the first hobby protected the second one. But that was it. And I liked science. I just didn't like science in school because in school they teach science and math dead. Meaning it doesn't apply to you. You're learning about science somewhere else, so you can't really understand. Like that's the number one question kids ask in school. Yeah, but when am I going to use this?
But I led that to say that.
Yeah, most kids, that's what disenfranchises them from school. Like, when am I going to use this?
But listen, the reason I say that is because everything that I heard you say, this is the first time we really met up. Everything you said, I started with a marble notebook, and I cross-referenced everything, and everything came back down good. And that's why I was like,
Well, I don't come to the forefront until in fact, I have a stack of the clinical papers. I go through all Harvard's, I don't mind. So a lot of what I do for the most part, I tell people is translate. Because of the scientific jargon is what separates John Q. Public from really understanding how their body works. So because I'm versed in 158th Street and versed in scientific jargon, I can translate. But here's one of the things, before we get into the specifics, because a lot of people ask me this part about the detox, and this is the part that people need to know, right? The P53, these are the cancer and tumor killing compounds that your body makes naturally. Your body makes these naturally. So you got to understand that we as a species, humans, it doesn't matter white, black, yellow, brown, whatever, we would not have made it this far if cancer was able to beat us. Cancer would have killed us thousands of years ago. We wouldn't have made it this far if cancer was better than us. We have 600 genes in our body that produces these guys right here that destroys tumor and cancer cells. So the obvious question then is, well, if that's the case, Minister, how do people die from tumors and cancers on a regular basis? Malnutrition. They're not getting those 100 nutrients in every day. The key nutrient you have to get into your body, the key, not the only one, the key, selenium.
What fruit does that come from? What vegetable?
Nuts. Well, Brazil nuts is real high in, but here's the thing with that. So we can address that real quick. Again, this is why you got to supplement. When we hear of things, like we go online and we might search, like you might say, oh yeah, so we need selenium for the Google. Okay, cool. Google. Foods high in selenium. You're going to get a list. Now, that list is inaccurate. And the reason being is, let's take Brazil nuts, for example, because we know Brazil nuts are typically high in selenium. If the selenium is not in the soil, the selenium won't be in the Brazil nuts. So as a practice, farmers don't put in nutrients into the soil outside of what they need to grow the plants. They can't make any money off it. It's business. It's business. Business is all about, it doesn't matter what the business is, it's about spending as little money as possible while making back the most money, the flip. Right. So since plants only need between 3 and 10 minerals to grow, farmers only put 3 and 10 minerals in there. The basis is NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. That's it. Then they have conditioners that they'll add along with that, another 5, 6 minerals. That's it. But if you need at least 77 minerals and the plants only need 10, if you get all 10 from the plants, you're still short damn near 70. And selenium is not one of the ones required by plants to grow. So you have to go and find these things in supplements. But this is the key. This is the key right here. So these are the guys, and that's not like, I haven't used this slide in so long. I used to just use it for the God Complex students, but I pulled it out because when I talk about the detox, people ask me about that part. Like, what are the compounds and woo? So now you have it. People in video land, you can look it up. P53 enzymes, your seleno proteins, your seleno enzymes. I thought this one was cute, right? Your RBG enzymes. Right? They fight cancers as well. So aromatic means that those amino acids have the ability to trap sunlight. So we wouldn't even have the ability to utilize sunlight in our bodies without those aromatic amino acids. So people say, well, that might not be true because we have melanin. Melanin is made from tyrosine. That is the aromatic amino acid that melanin is composed of. Chlorophyll, same thing. All of these, even the heme that's in your blood, same thing. This is why it's so crucial to get these into your diet. Even the mitochondria, the first output at cytochrome 1 to let the electricity begin to flow through your mitochondria is tyrosine at the first output. So even if you don't have tyrosine in your body, you won't even be able to have a good energy production. So this is what the now here's the thing with the detoxes. 90% of the detoxes on the market are trash, and you won't know that unless you really know what these herbs are when you read the ingredients. Most of the herbs are laxatives that's on the market. Period. And having a bowel movement for people that are not having regular bowel movements is not a detox. It's just a bowel movement. And most of the reason people are not having bowel movements is not because you're low on fiber. That's something completely made up to sell products, fiber products. You don't need fiber to have a bowel movement. You need water to have a bowel movement. Your body is hydrated, you'll have regular bowel movements. Period. Grand opening, grand closing. So if you're clinically dehydrated, so you're not having regular bowel movements, then you take a laxative. What does the laxative do? The laxative pulls fluid. It pulls water out of your cells into your colon. So now you have a bowel movement. But you're more dehydrated than before you started. But we don't know any of this. So what do? After that detox is finished, we go back to not having bowel movements because we're more dehydrated than before we started. And guess what? Now we know about that detox. So after a little while of not having a bowel movement, we're like, you know what? I'm about to go back and get me another one of them detoxes because I ain't had a bowel movement.
Herbs, full body.
So now you cycling and you're getting more dehydrated with every single time. So a part of the detox that we have is high intake of water. The second thing, so that people could get, like, just having the label to the herbs is like a class all by itself. So all of these right here are the ingredients in this compound, but I grouped them in a way so that you will understand what it is that they're doing in the body. Go back. I know y'all want to go back. All right. So you understand, get an idea. These are the herbs that work on burning fat: bladderwrack, yarrow, cassata sagrada, Irish moss, African bird pepper, kelp, epigenetic and anti-carcinogenic, happy tree, Madagascar periwinkle, mayapple, Pacific yew. Now, these guys here are these trees. They're cutting these trees down and sequestering these trees. These are very expensive for me to get. These are the top plants that they synthesize chemo treatments from.
Which ones
Are you a chemist or something?
Where have you had? Happy tree, Madagascar periwinkle, mayapple, Pacific yew. You can look them up. But that's what they do. And so the side effects that a lot of people experience from the chemo tree, there are other parts of the plant that actually neutralize those side effects. So you get the whole tree, you deal with the whole herb, you kind of get around those side effects. The lymphatic system flush. So it goes through systematically what the herbs are doing inside the body. And, you know, it gives you a better, clearer picture of what's in your compound and why it's there. Now, this right here, this is what I wanted to get to so you understand the real detox. Going back to that slide where I showed you that the anti-cancer and anti-tumor enzymes and proteins that your body produces. This is the process right here. Inside your cell, you have this guy, keep one molecule. This keep one molecule right here is composed of acids, mostly sulfurs like cysteines. The cysteine compounds neutralize this guy. They degrade this guy. They break this guy down. NRF2. So in my mind, I use mnemonic devices to remember everything. There's a bunch of stuff. So I say my brother's keeper and the NRF2. But you do it how you want to do it. So anyway, when you get a lot of free radicals coming into the cell, those free radicals neutralize the sulfur compounds in the keep one molecule, and it never gets to degrade this. So these NERV2 compounds build up. And when they build up, they go into the nucleus. So if you look here, it tells you what part of the cell we're talking about. So this is one big cell, just so you get an idea what's going on here. This is the nucleus of the cell where the nuclear DNA is, the lower portion. When an NRF2 builds up because you have so much free radicals entering the cell, this guy enters the cell and sets off the alarm. It sets off the alarm, which is those 600 genes, and lets them know to start producing the anti-tumor, anti-cancer enzymes to clean house. Now, here's where the problem comes in. If you don't have the things that those enzymes and proteins are made of in your body, when the alarm rings, how will your body produce them?
Well, somewhere else.
What if the storehouse is already empty?
You won't produce them at all.
Boom!
It's not. How do you get something from absolutely nothing?
Correct.
There's nothing to get.
And listen, that magic trick right there.
And you're not eating right.
That magic trick is the biggest magic trick pulled on everybody when it comes to health and wellness. Women that are having babies think that the baby comes from nowhere. This is why so much defects in our babies. I'm looking at the prenatal pills. The prenatal pills got like 30 different nutrients on it. I'm like, okay, so are we producing like a 30% baby? Mm-hmm. Right? If we don't have the nutrients in there, how is a complete human getting ready to be formed in your body? You don't have enough nutrients to support your daily metabolism. How are you creating a whole nother human? Guess what's going to happen? Some things will be incompletely formed in the baby. Right. Some of those things will show up immediately. Some of those things will take a longer time to show up. Because you didn't have the raw nutrients there to feed that baby. It's just that simple. Now, when that alarm is rung, and we don't have the raw material for our body to formulate the defense, guess what happens? The free radicals begin to invade the nucleus, damage the nucleus, and now you have improper cell replication, one of the hallmarks to cancer. So, a real detox is not about a bowel movement. It's about getting all of the nutrients in so that your body can produce its own enzymes, etc., 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 and then understanding the other piece. Let me see if I have a slide on here for this last piece.
Is that the real immune system?
Right, I was about, no, sure, go ahead. Damn, I don't have the slide on there.
Question about
but go ahead. Wait, go ahead and then you go ahead.
I was going to say that because one part is very important how you feel. Because when we get upset, you let them negative enzymes that destroy your healthy cells. When you're happy, you let all those endorphins that heal your damaged cells.
Yeah, when you stress, you create the best way to understand it, you create free radicals in the body.
Right.
They produce oxidative stress.
Right.
When you feel good, you produce endorphins and interleukins. Interleukins are powerful to kill. They do interleukin shots, like $20,000 for a shot.
Right.
And you can produce them with like a roller coaster ride or hanging out with your children, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing to understand about this, right? I thought I had a slide in there, but you don't need to slide. You just use your mind. Your body is the master of efficiency. Okay? So you had to pull them out to get them quiet. That works. However you did it, Tom, you do the best. So this is your body's antioxidant system, right? But your body has an oxidant system, and the two cannot run at the same time. Very important to know. Your white blood cells are an oxidating agent. That is your oxidation system. So, inflammation is a process of oxidation. White blood cells release H2O2, which we know of as hydrogen peroxide, to do what they do. That's how they clean up on the inside. Or the scientific term is phagocyze. Right, so we don't use that. So, but that's what they do. They use hydrogen peroxide, which is a free radical. So, because it's a necessary part, though, that's why I call the white blood cells a part of the sanitary code. crew. They clean up. But if you have an antioxidant system and an oxidant system working at the same time, what happens? Nothing.
Right.
They neutralize each other. So they don't work at the same time. So when you have inflammation or the oxidation system at work, your antioxidant system is down-regulated by your body. So that's the other part to know about this. If there's inflammation going on, this whole thing is turned off. So there's no anti-tumor cancer crew coming to the rescue. They chilling. They on the side like this, waiting for you to get through. So if the food you eat is free radicals in and of itself, it's impossible for you to get out of your own way. So we go back to the heterocyclic amines and the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, right? Yeah, that came late. Those are the two carcinogens that's produced from burnt flesh. Right, so we talked about that in the beginning. The difference between what people think is carnivores and what real carnivores are. I want to say that again for people that came late so y'all get it too. You need to know that. There's no such thing as a carnivore that eats burnt flesh. That is some shit people made up. Carnivores in nature eat the meat raw, which is the only way you can get any nutrients out of meat. Raw. The blood is what carries the nutrients. Carnivores cannot get the nutrients directly from plants and sunlight, so they have to eat an animal that can and live off his blood. So being a carnivore is synonymous with vampires. That's why lions and all carnivores go to the stomach first. Because that's where, and even in the Bible it tells you that. Even in the Bible, right? So for some reasons we want to get rid of the book, but then sometimes we might have to dust that book off and pull it back out. It tells you in the first chapter what the diet's supposed to be. The fruit with the seeds in it. And to me that was deep. Because at the time that the Bible was created, heavily inspired, written in faith and passed off, whatever the case may be.
Science.
How did they know then that a time would come when there would be fruits with no seeds in it? Because Monsanto didn't exist then.
Right.
Just saying, they knew it.
They said don't do it.
Maybe they did. Right. Pharmacia. Because that's actually the original name of the company Monsanto, and Pharmacia is in Revelation. Pharmacia will kill the whole, will cause the world to perish.
And if it's not that,
And the agents of Pharmacia in the world will be, it's in there. Look, I'm just saying.
Because those
You can look it up.
stories that took from real stories.
I did a whole
the
I did a whole lecture on it. I did a whole lecture on Pharmacia. It's crazy when you look into that book. Because it also says herbs are for the healing of the nation, etc., etc. So it tells you what's what in there. But there's two incidences where I have debates and people like to pull out. Yeah, but during the flood and during the Exodus, God said it was okay to eat animals. I was like, okay, flip that book open.
Right.
Because they don't know I'm an ordained minister, so I can pull that out of my pocket at any moment. Flip that book open. What are the type of animals that are quote unquote listed as clean animals? The vegans. The dirty animals are the animals that eat animals. So that should tell you right there by inference what makes an animal dirty. Eating other animals.
Wow.
The eating of flesh produces when a person dies and they go into a box and you put them in a coffin, you put them in a grave. We know that the worms and all that stuff comes out of it, right? Where do you think the worms was at? Wait, you think the worms? Wait a minute. You think the worm was in the dirt, broke into the coffin, went into the body, and then we happen to see them leaving? No, you carry it around with you now. They don't leave the body until there's no longer anything left to eat. So while you eating crazy all day, you feeding them. They comfy where they at.
Wow.
Right? It's like hustlers in the neighborhood. If you don't know hustlers, then you seen power, right? While there's money on the block, we right here. As soon as the block gets dry, we gotta move. Same thing in your body. The parasites, they live off the block. While there's money on the block, there's food there, they eat it. They're not going anywhere. The moment it dries up, they leave.
Right.
Detox.
Grand opening, grand closing. So,
Yeah, with the white blood cells. You can't have white blood cells and the was that the NRTF and all that working at the same time.
it's just it's just the inflammation.
Right. So if you feed the white blood cells the carbon, which is in vitamin C, like that will kind of stop them for a while. Then will the other parts start to work?
No, that's not how you want to do it, because then you'll be vitamin C deficient. So that's a good thing you brought up, though. I like that. A lot of people don't know that. White blood cells like to consume carbon, which is why we have a host of autoimmune diseases, because they'll start eating you in various places, and then they call it, whatever it is based on where you toe up at. But they'll eat some of the nutrition you got a bunch of stuff in your body that lives off of what you eat. So you have to eat enough of these things to make sure you feed everybody. Like you got children in the house. I have 10 children. I can't come in the house with one sandwich. I won't even get a bite. It's gone. Enough vitamin C to take care of everything. Plus, vitamin C is required for mineral metabolism. It protects your minerals through the digestive process, so they actually reach the bloodstream and get where they have to go. Otherwise, they might come out urine or feces, and then you just wasted those in the first place. So that's another thing to how things are formulated. But in terms of the detox is formulated to reduce inflammation and almost stop the inflammation. Right. Say it, Lily, the detox. Not supposed to say it.
Not on cue.
Right. When I'm interrupting, I'll say it. Otherwise, I'm not being a bad girl, so it's a problem. But so the detox has to be put together in a way that it gets rid of the inflammation, so that way when you supply your body with the nutrition. So that's why I have those things written in a certain way, so you can see we have compounds in it specifically to get rid of the inflammation, so that all the other things can happen. That's these guys, white blood cell activity. All this stuff here reduces and gets rid of inflammation. Right. And milk thistle. Milk thistle, a lot of people know about milk thistle, but the sick thing for milk thistle is milk thistle recycles glutathione, which is your body's #1 antioxidant. So that's what makes it potent.
Just a quick question about type 2 diabetes. Can a person with type 2 diabetes function on this? Take 1 to 3 capsules 3 times a day with fruits and vegetables. Your fruits and vegetables, what do they call it? 40 days fruits and vegetable.
Well, here's the thing with that. A lot of people that hear about the fast and they don't go to the website and look at it, they think it's actually a 40-day all fruit fast. But fruit, I just use that to reference fruit of the earth. So it's your fruits, your vegetables, your grains, your nuts, your seeds, all that stuff. It's not just like we're going to take people with high blood sugar already and tell them to knock off watermelon. Like that's suicide.
For clarity, that's a movement. That's everybody fasting at the same time. Right?
Yeah. Well, some people do it sporadically throughout. Like there's always people doing it, but we do it usually like twice a year as a group. We do it like first of the year, January 1st, and then we do it June, like the first of the year, and then the midway through the year, which is usually like everybody's getting healthy January 1st. Like everybody's getting ready to quit cigarettes. Now I'm about to stop drinking. I'm telling you, I'm about to turn up this one last time. I was like, okay, we're gonna help these folks. And then usually in the summertime is when people get disappointed with whatever they was doing and quit. Because they got in their mind watching all these dumbass commercials that they can get a 6-pack in 3 months or in 2 weeks. I done seen one guy, he 6-pack abs in 60 days. Like, dude, it took him probably 10 years to get those abs, and he's gonna sell them to you in 4 weeks.
Wow.
Like it doesn't happen like that. So people get disappointed. They join the gym. You'll see if you go to a gym year round, gym is crowded as hell from January to May. As soon as June hit, you don't gotta worry about waiting for the machine, none of that. It's super empty. You got the whole space. So, but these guys right here do the work. Bitter melon, amla. Amla is a Indian herb they use Indian herb they use instead of insulin. Cinnamon I use for like emergency stuff. I tell people if you just have a spike in your blood sugar, you can take green apples, slice them up, put some almond butter on there, put some cinnamon on there. It'll drop your blood sugar real quick. Jimny Silvestri, you can look it up. I might be butchering the pronunciation. But they've run like thousands of clinical studies on this guy here. So it's but these are the compounds in here that deals with blood sugar. And of course, when you couple it with the mamatomics and the other compounds, you get the other stuff. You need the chromium, vanadium, and all that. But this is the front of the bottle. Now I want to show you the back of the bottle.
That's the front.
Right. So that's the front label. Here's the back. Like I told you, the label itself is a class. So now on the front of the bottle, you see how each herb works together with the other herbs to do what. Now this is the back of the bottle. This shows you the nutrition that's in, or the active compounds that's in every single one of the herbs and why they do what they do. So like the ones I told you they use for chemo treatments, the extracts, Happy Tree. This is the compound, the active compound that fights cancer inside Happy Tree. Camptothecin. In the Madagascar periwinkle, vinca alkaloid. So these are the compounds in all of the plants. So you have a deeper understanding of what's inside of the stuff.
So real quick, EnQi, I want everybody to realize something. This is what this brother's doing is the difference between pharmaceutical companies after your money and somebody that's trying to help you. Because who would put all of that on their label?
Right. I put the ingredients and the ingredients of the ingredients.
So now I want to throw that out there. So even if you don't get it today, eventually think about getting some for yourself and supporting what the brother's doing. Now the other question that I wanted to ask kind of brings Dr. Jackson in for a second. How important is clinical research and data when we're making these claims that EnQi is making? Like, is it? Because we know the brother's done the research, but for you, like, explain to people how important that level of research is before taking something, and why you would even co-sign it with that's basically putting your degree on the line. You can stand up here and say, "Yo, this is what it is."
Right. See, first of all, if you go get Tylenol or Advil, they're not going to tell you the active ingredient, or they're not going to break it down or anything like that. They're not gonna give you the formula how to put it together. Also, what happens is with the supplement companies, what my research has found is that you need no FDA approval, and they're not giving you natural plants and natural herbs. They're making synthesizing of that. Mm-hmm. So what happens is if the pharmaceutical companies make a product and the FDA doesn't approve it, guess what they send it to? The supplement store. Mm-hmm. Research who owns the supplement store, the biggest pharmaceutical store.
That's right.
So for him to come in and break down what every plant does, and you go cross-reference, and you find that this will, even like me, you say, well, my idea of a doctor, you got a white jacket, a stethoscope, and some glasses. And that's our idea of what they've sold us for so long. So when I've heard of him, and I said, let's go, what's going on? Because even now, I'm getting a more in-depth of him showing what things will work. Because I would think, I'm going to get some cayenne pepper and some ginger. I'm good. But if the compounds don't connect the way he's explaining it, you're just eating a lot of ginger. You go, what can you imagine something? And this tastes so nasty and it does nothing. He was alive. No, did you listen to how the compounds have to connect? And that's what he's taking the time to really do. That's why